morning, everyone. Online students, Abhiram. Good morning. I hope I'm audible. Morning. Right. So, in our last class, I believe हमने खिलाफत मूवमेंट तक कंप्लीट कर लिया था. Now we need to talk about the non-cooperation with how it merged with the खिलाफत मूवमेंट. पहले एक brief background. Now, the non-cooperation movement was the first through all India Gandhian mass movement. Right? Why are we calling it this? Because although Mahatma Gandhi had launched movements earlier, none of them had been all India movements in the true sense. The Rowlatt Satyagraha claimed the closest, but it was not allowed to run its full course. It had to be withdrawn prematurely because of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Right? The non-cooperation movement thus emerges as the first true all India Gandhian mass movement, where Mahatma Gandhi emerged as the undisputed leader of the movement and which saw sustained participation from various sections of the population, both in the urban as well as the rural environment. Thus, we are calling it the first true all India mass movement. Do you think that such movements can emerge out of a vacuum? कि बिना किसी कॉज के, बिना किसी रीजन के इमर्ज हो सकते हैं सिंपली बिकॉज देयर इज अ ग्रेट लीडर इन द ड्राइविंग सीट? कैन द लीडर generate spontaneously the energy and anger of the masses, or does that energy have to be present in a latent form? It has to be present in a latent form. Only then can that energy be made kinetic and channelized by the leader. लीडर का रोल मूवमेंट को बर्थ करना नहीं होता है, उसको ऑर्गेनाइज करना, उसको ओरिएंट करना, चैनलाइज करना. दैट इज व्हाट महात्मा गांधी डिड. Now, since we have established that latent energy existed in India at this point of time, we need to find out क्यों है, और इसका आंसर आपको ऑलरेडी पता है. बताइए क्या? फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर की वजह से जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स हुई थी, ऑल दी प्राइवेशंस एंड प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएटेड बाय द फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर. व्हाट एल्स? डिमांड ऑफ स्वराज वाज ऑलवेज देयर. होम रूल मूवमेंट ने उसको रिवाइव कर दिया था. व्हाट एल्स? जलियांवाला बाग मैसेकर की वजह से बहुत ज्यादा एंगर इमर्ज हुआ था. व्हाट एल्स? हाँ, जो हंटर कमीशन का रिपोर्ट था, दैट आल्सो एंगर्ड इंडियंस. व्हाट एल्स? Home rule movement had generated a great degree of energy. It had revived the ground networks of the Indian nationalists. It had also prepared greater cooperation between Hindus and Muslims, Congress and Muslim League. What else? Lucknow Pact had also done the same thing. So all the ingredients were there, right? So a perfect storm was emerging, and the non-cooperation movement was the logical conclusion of this development. Clear? So write down. The non-cooperation movement was the first all India Gandhian mass movement in the true sense. The true sense. Gandhian mass movement in the true sense. Full stop. It witnessed participation from diverse sections of the population. Diverse section of both rural and urban. Both rural and urban. The energy and intensity of the movement was far greater than anything previously witnessed in India, previously witnessed in the national movement. Yes, the national movement, the national movement. Stop. The British were almost brought to their knees. Were almost brought to their knees by the Gandhian strategy of mass satyagrah and non-cooperation. By the Gandhian strategy of mass satyagrah and non-cooperation. Next point, paragraph. To understand the unprecedented intensity of the movement, unprecedented intensity of the movement, comma, the driving force behind the mass discontent must be appreciated. Must be point wise liquid. Indians had cooperated wholeheartedly with the British during the First World War. However, however, Indian trust had been betrayed by the 1919 wrongs. By the 1919 wrongs. क्या है ये? Form of sub points. बताओ 19 में क्या क्या wrongs हुए इंडियंस के साथ? राउलेट एक्ट, जलियांवाला बाग मैसेकर, हंटर इंक्वायरी रिपोर्ट, हायरार्की एंड खिलाफत. Point. Mahatma Gandhi felt that the masses were ready for action. That the masses were ready for action. Up. Further, comma, the Khilafat issue presented a golden opportunity, presented a golden opportunity to cement Hindu-Muslim unity, Hindu-Muslim unity, which was already strong due to the Lucknow Pact, and common participation during the Home Rule movement and Rowlatt Satyagraha. During the Home Rule movement and Rowlatt Satyagraha. Now clear है? So this provided the background to the non-cooperation. Next, merger with the Khilafat Movement. With the Khilafat Movement. After their release from house arrest, the Ali brothers began touring the country and mobilizing Muslims for the Khilafat cause. Point. Several provincial Khilafat committees were set up by like-minded Muslim leaders. Next point. January 1920, the All India Khilafat Committee was created and Mahatma Gandhi was invited to preside it. A point. He traveled extensively drawing both Hindus and Muslims to the Khilafat cause in large numbers. In large numbers. Point. June 1920. 19. Frustrated by the lack of British response, an all-party conference, an all-party conference at Allahabad, at Allahabad, gave the call, gave the call for boycott of British goods and institutions, for boycott of British goods and institutions. यहाँ तक फॉलो कर रहे हैं? नेक्स्ट लिखो. 1st of August in 20. 1st of August. बाल गंगाधर तिलक passed away. And mourning masses filled the streets. Filled the streets. The point. At the same time, the draft of the Treaty of Sevres, draft of the Treaty of Sevres, Treaty of Sevres was one of the treaties imposed by the victorious powers over the vanquished powers. जैसे ट्रीटी ऑफ वर्साई जर्मनी के ऊपर इम्पोज हुआ था, ट्रीटी ऑफ सॉ जर्मेन ऑस्ट्रिया के ऊपर, वैसे ट्रीटी ऑफ सेवरेज ऑटोमन एम्पायर के ऊपर. It was part of the peace conference that was taking at Paris after the end of the First World. Okay. The draft of the Treaty of Sevres, within brackets you can write, imposed by the Allies upon the Ottoman Empire, close brackets, was published by the Allies upon the Empire, close brackets, was published. Okay. Were any of the Khilafat demands accepted? No. Write down. Next point. This caused a spontaneous uproar among Muslims, as their demands had been neglected. Full stop. Point. Massive protests by both Hindus and Muslims occurred across the country. पॉइंट लिखो। 31st August in 31st August, the All India Khilafat Committee, All India Khilafat Committee, presided by Mahatma Gandhi, officially gave the call for non-cooperation. Gave the call for non-cooperation with a program of boycott and non-cooperation. Program of boycott and non-cooperation means that on the 31st of August, the All India Khilafat Committee officially launched the non-cooperation. Was this a movement launched by the Congress? No. It was a movement launched by the All India Khilafat Committee. The Home Rule Movement, Home Rule Leagues ने, रावलट सत्याग्रह सभा ने, वैसे ही नॉन कोऑपरेशन मूवमेंट खिलाफत कमेटी ने लॉन्च किया. However, unlike the previous two movements, the Congress was very quick to respond this time. Next main point लिखो. 4th September in 20. Congress in its special session at Calcutta adopted the non-cooperation regime. Adopted the non-cooperation resolution with the following programs. क्या क्या? Boycott, non-cooperation, and promotion of charkha and khadi. In other words, Swadeshi. ठीक है. Was the entire Congress organization behind this non-cooperation movement, Mahatma Gandhi? No, there were some who opposed. Write down. There was no unanimity within the Congress. Some groups opposed the movement. Point लिखो. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru opposed it. Why? Because they were not entirely convinced with the Gandhian strategy of non-violent satyagraha. Not think that it would prove very effective. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru opposed it since they were not convinced by strategy of Gandhian Satyagraha. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Muhammad Ali Jinnah opposed it. Why? Since he did not find it appropriate for a secular all India party like the Congress to launch a movement on religious grounds. Not find it for another all India party like the Congress launch a movement on religious grounds. Liberals such as Surendranath Banerjee and Sir Tej Bahadur Sapru opposed it. Opposed it since they were why? Since they were happy with the Montfort reforms, they wanted to give it a chance to succeed. They felt that appropriate amount of responsible government had been introduced by the system of diarchy and they did not want to disrupt its work. Since they were satisfied by the Montfort reforms, and did not want to disrupt its operation. Not want to disrupt its operation. But the opposition was in a very small minority, therefore the non-cooperation was carried with a resounding majority, and thus the Congress also officially jumped into the non-cooperation. Did not want to disrupt its operation. The non-cooperation would have required the Congress to officially boycott the elections which would be organized under the purview of the Montfort reform. And since this would have made the reforms meaningless, they did not want to participate. The chance to succeed. Next लिखो December 1920. At its annual session at Nagpur, the Congress once again endorsed the non-cooperation resolution. with the following demands. The following demands. 1, 2 and 3. क्या क्या? स्वराज, number 2, undoing the Punjab wrongs. Number 3, undoing the Khilafat wrongs. Undoing the Punjab wrongs, the Khilafat wrongs. ठीक है, पॉइंट लिखो. इस बार चीफ ऑपोजिशन में कौन कौन सी लीडर्स थे? सीआर दास, मोतीलाल नेहरू, जिन्ना, तेज बहादुर सप्रू एंड सुरेंद्रनाथ बैनर्जी. This time around, a very surprising thing that the non-cooperation resolution was moved by C.R. Das and seconded by Motilal. That means they had given their full vote of confidence to the non-cooperation. So why this sudden change in a matter of 3 months? Because in these 3 months, the Gandhian strategy of Satyagraha had proved very effective in pressurizing the government. All their doubts had been dispelled. Write down. C.R. Das moved the resolution while Motilal Nehru seconded it. C.R. Das moved the resolution while Motilal Nehru seconded it. The preceding 3 months had amply demonstrated the effectiveness of the Gandhian method. ठीक है, पॉइंट लिखो. मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना resigned from the Congress. Ali Jinnah resigned from the Congress. Why? On the same grounds as earlier. It was not appropriate for the Congress, All India Secular Party, to launch a religious. Third लिखो. Liberals are as Tej Bahadur Sapru, Annie Besant, E.C. Kharpade, and Surendranath Banerjee resigned from the Congress based on their opposition to extra constitutional methods. Based on their opposition to extra constitutional methods. ठीक है, अब सुरेंद्रनाथ बैनर्जी founded the Indian National Liberal Foundation. Uh, Founded the Indian National Liberal Federation, brackets, Liberal Party, National Liberal Federation, the Liberal Party. It consisted of the moderates. So moderates had allowed the extremists to re-enter the Congress in 19, but they themselves were quickly sidelined, forcing their exit and reorganization of the Liberal Party. Is this much clear? Next point likho. The Congress, next means Congress also adopted a new constitution at its Nagpur session. Which decentralized and democratized its working. Decentralized and democratized its working. Okay? Now major changes would be brought to the organization of the Congress from the top to the bottom. The topmost executive body of the Congress would be known as the Congress Working Committee, composed of the 15 senior most and most popular members of the Congress. It would function like the cabinet of the government. ठीक है, कहाँ पे इसका हेडक्वार्टर्स होगा? दिल्ली में. एंड इट वुड बी अ परमानेंट बॉडी. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कांग्रेस के एनुअल सेशन ना वंस इन अ ईयर मीट कर. ठीक है, तो एक एग्जीक्यूटिव बॉडी बन गया विच वाज परमानेंट इन दी. Members of the Congress Working Committee would be elected from among the members of an all India general elected body of the Congress as the All India Congress Committee. ठीक है, it was the All India general elected body of the Congress. ठीक है, it would meet for its annual session at the end of every year to pass important resolutions and to elect the next set of PWC members. Below it would be several provincial or Pradeshik Congress committees. These were state level Congress assemblies who would also meet annually and elect the members from among themselves to be in the AICC, All India Congress Committee. ठीक है, तो AICC के members यहाँ से elect होकर के आएंगे. The Pradeshik Congress committees would be established on the basis of linguistic division. For every major language, there would be a separate PCC. Clear है? Below them would be the district level Congress committees or the Zilla Congress committees, which in turn would send members to the CC. Below them would be the block Congress committees or the Tehsil Congress committees, which would send members to the Zilla Congress committee. followed by ward congress committees and village congress committees. ठीक है. Membership in the village congress committee would be open to everybody with a nominal membership fee of 4 annas. ठीक है. Now, what was the impact of these changes? First of all, it cemented bottom-up democracy in the Congress. The new constitution provided for a mechanism through which the most popular leaders at each level would be given the opportunity to elevate themselves towards the top of nationalist leadership. So it was not as if the top leaders were being parachuted down from above, rather they were rising from the bottom. ठीक है, एक तो इसका फर्क ये पड़ेगा. Secondly, it also solidified the concept of linguistic reorganization of provinces, since linguistic organization had been the basis of setting up the Pradeshik Congress committees. ठीक है. Thirdly, decision making at the Congress would be taking a bottom up approach. Why? Because each of these committees could pass their own resolutions, which through the strength of numbers would have to be either accepted or rejected by their superior committees. ठीक है. ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी कोई डिक्टेट्स देगा या कोई रेजोल्यूशन पास करेगा जिसको ब्लाइंडली बाकी सबको फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. Rather, a more decentralized form of decision to come into play. And finally, since membership fee was very small and since there were no restrictions upon anyone becoming a member, the membership of the Congress would actually swell. Within a matter of a single year from 1920 to 21, the total number of members of the Congress would suddenly shoot up to 70 lakh. Right? This would come with its own advantages. Yeah, that the Congress always had a ready manpower well which it could draw upon to organize any future mass activity. ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले की तरह नए मेंबर्स को इनको एनलिस्ट करना पड़ेगा या दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इनको एनरोप करना पड़ेगा फॉर देयर मास प्रोग्राम्स. दे वुड हैव अ रेडी मेड मैन पावर फॉर ऑल दीज एक्टिविटीज. The Congress organization network at the ground level is going to become much more stronger and robust. ठीक है. However, this is going to come with its own problem also. क्या problem होगा? When the leadership has to respond to the popular demand, a danger emerges. Yeah, of the leadership sliding into the practice of पॉपुलिज्म. ठीक है. क्योंकि इन लीडर्स को अब अपने एक्शंस को इस लेवल पर जस्टिफाई करना पड़ेगा. देयरफॉर दे विल हैव टू बी माइंडफुल टू एंड रिस्पॉन्ड टू द अर्जेस of the Congress members at this level. Otherwise, the next session or the next session they might be voted out. ठीक है. Now, at this level, the leaders were highly educated, progressive, and free. Can the same be said for the Congress members at this level? No. तो यहाँ पर हाँ एक progressive vision तो always present था. There was always a very deep spirit of patriotism always present. But there were other factors which were pulling and pushing the members at this level. One of the most important ones being religion and communalism. Okay? Now, one more peculiar thing about the Congress was that it did not make it compulsory that members of the Congress must not be members of any other organization. Congress was like an all India federation of nationalists where people from different political outfits and parties could come onto a common platform for a common agenda. लेकिन इसकी वजह से हुआ क्या, that people joining the Congress who were affiliated with other outfits are now going to infuse the thinking and strategy of that outfit into the working of the Congress. At the ground level, what happened within the Congress was that a very powerful populist Hindu nationalist movement led by Madan Mohan Malviya through the Hindu Mahasabha became very attractive at the lower levels, at these levels of the Congress. Okay? The Hindu Hindustan movement. Okay? This was a slogan given by Madan Mohan Malviya. India is a country of Hindus who are all Hindi speakers, and thus Hindi should be the mother tongue as well as the national language, and the entire country should follow the same pattern, should adopt the same ethos, and should cosmetically appear to be the same, okay, in order to engender greater national and cultural unity. Now, this was a very one-sided approach of saffronizing the entire country. This overlooked the inherent diversity of the Indian population. While it appealed very strongly to a certain section of the new Congress members, others felt alienated because of it. और इसकी वजह से हुआ क्या? Very few people, as this ideology came to be espoused by the working groups within the Congress, by the lower level workers of the Congress, others were alienated from it. Therefore, Congress organization में overwhelmingly ये महासभा वाली आइडियोलॉजी के लोग भरने लग गए, and the Congress also had to respond to it. While in 1916 it had sacrificed many of its core objectives in pursuit of greater national unity with Muslim League, in future it would not have the maneuvering room to do so, because any move to cement relations with Muslims or to improve relations with Muslim League would be considered by the workers at this level as a form of minority appeasement, which they were inherently opposed to, since they were heavily inspired by this ideology. Is this clear? Further, after the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement, the communal unity that was visible during the movement broke down completely. And in this scenario, this feeling of communalism that was affecting the lower levels of the Congress became even stronger. And with the passage of time, as the communal relations degraded, as they deteriorated, the communal sentiment within the Congress is going to get further enhanced. Okay? The Congress leadership would find itself helpless in resisting this populist and communal appeal. Okay? While it would never explicitly come out against Muslims, this you can say populism or communalism is going to be reflected in its attitude as well as some of its decisions. For example, the inability of the Congress and Muslim League to come to an agreement during the Nehru report issue. ठीक है, तो नेहरू रिपोर्ट जब 1928 में कांग्रेस ने में पब्लिश हुआ, तो कांग्रेस ने तो उसके सारे के सारे प्रोविजंस को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, बट जिन्ना रेज सर्टेन वेरी पावरफुल ऑब्जेक्शंस इन हिज 14-point डिमांड प्रोग्राम. नाउ जिन्ना actually did not want a complete breach with the Congress. This was his initial negotiating position. But because the Congress had by this point of time painted itself into a corner, any move To find a consensus with the Muslim League on the Nehru report would have been seen by the rank and file of the Congress organization as a form of minority appeasement, and the leaders ran the risk of becoming highly unpopular within their own organization, would have effectively ended their political careers, and therefore no compromise could be brought forward. Okay? And this is going to prove very harmful for national unity in the future. It is this kind of failure to reach a compromise, a failure to satisfy the core Muslim demands, that would allow Jinnah later to paint the Congress as a Hindu organization only regarding Hindu interests, thus would allow him to project himself as the sole and legal representative of Indian Muslims. And this is going to further the two nation theory, which is into the Pakistan demand and ultimately end in the partition. ठीक है, भाई फायदे तो हुए इसके, लेकिन कुछ मेजर नुकसान भी। क्लियर है इतना? नेक्स्ट मेन पॉइंट लिखो. So what have you written right now? The which democratized and decentralized its working. ठीक है, उसके बाद ये उतार लिया आपने, समझ में आ गया है इसको. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट लिखो. The new constitution had several advantages. Right, one by one. Number one, the low membership fee, and open membership allowed the Congress to transform itself into a mass movement unto itself into a mass movement unto itself. Within 1 year, the Congress membership had swelled to 70 lakh, giving the Congress a permanent presence at the grassroots level of mass politics. Next, number two. The Congress also adopted a more democratic way of functioning as the new Congress created a mechanism, new constitution created a mechanism for the elevation of most popular leaders to the highest level. popular leaders the highest level. Number 3, the decision making process was also decentralized. Was also decentralized as the regional and local councils, as the and local councils were empowered to adopt their own resolutions, adopt their own resolutions, to adopt their own resolutions, comma, thus creating, thus creating a new marketplace of ideas, marketplace of ideas within the Congress organization, the Congress organization. मार्केट में जाते हैं आप, अलग अलग चीज़ों को evaluate करते हैं and on your of your evaluation make your choice, right? वैसे ही now the Congress leadership as well as the organization would get a new strategies, new ideas, new objectives heads as proposed by these local councils. वो भी ज़्यादा से more effective होगा, efficient होगा, that would be chosen, that would succeed. Next लिखो number 4. It also strengthened the argument for the linguistic reorganization of provinces, for the linguistic reorganization of provinces. Since the Congress had applied this principle of provinces, since the Congress had applied this principle for organizing its own provincial council, for organizing its own provincial council. ठीक है, next main point लिखो, own provincial council. However, comma, the new constitution also paved the way towards a dangerous destiny, towards a dangerous destiny. The point, the infusion of bottom up democracy, and decentralized decision making opened the gates for the rise of populism, gates for the rise of populism, the point. Over the 1920s, comma, as communal harmony broke down, comma, Congress rank and file became deeply impressed, or deep Congress rank and file, rank and file became deeply influenced by the Hindu nationalist rhetoric of the Hindu Mahasabha, nationalist rhetoric of the Hindu Mahasabha, and its leaders such as Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, whose slogan of Hindi Hindu Hindustan, the Hindu Hindustan within quotes, the Hindu Hindustan, resonated deeply, resonated deeply at the popular level, at the popular level. Next point. The Congress leadership was forced to respond, was forced to respond to these urges, to these urges by adopting, by adopting a more rigid position, more rigid position with respect to the Muslim League, respect to the League, comma, ultimately, ultimately precluding the possibility of any future compromise, future compromise, future compromise. This would have been seen as minority appeasement, as minority appeasement by the Congress workers, by the Congress workers at the lower levels, by the Congress workers at the lower levels. At the lower levels. Next point. The result was, next subpoint, the result was a growing divide between the Congress and Muslim League, which finally erupted the form of open communalism, the two nation theory, and Pakistan demand, leading to India's partition. Leading to India's partition. Leading to India's partition. Okay. So this is one aspect of the emergence of communalism in India which is often overlooked. So that is why इसके ऊपर emphasize करना जरूरी है. Question लिखो. How did the emergence of popular politics contribute to the growth of communalism in India? Illustrate in the context of the Montfort reforms and the non-cooperation. Two hundred words. क्वेश्चन समझ में आया है? डिमांड क्लियर है? You have to link the rise of popular politics in India with the rise of communalism. कैसे करोगे इसको? पॉपुलर पॉलिटिक्स के साथ साथ आया populism, and since in their political journey the Indian masses were relatively backward as compared to the European public, therefore religion continued to appeal to them at a very deep level, in a very powerful manner. Therefore, in order to forge ahead in the race of popular politics, several leaders tried to capitalize upon the raw emotional appeal of religion. This was made, or this tendency was made even stronger with the Montfort reforms introduced direct elections for the first time, and it was reinforced by the non-cooperation movement, which the Congress chose to use the Khilafat issue to bring out the Muslim masses in support of their national program, and in the backdrop of which they reorganized the Congress through a new constitution. Which democratized and decentralized the Congress's working, thus increasing the scope of populist politics. Now, while during the non-cooperation movement this strategy had worked in favor of the Congress, following its sudden withdrawal leading to the breakdown of communal unity, the other edge of this two-edged sword presented itself to the Congress. Because of India's religious and cultural diversity, populism became a burden on nationalism, and nationalists had to continuously work in order to overcome its divisive energies. Right? However, this could never become sufficient. और डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट करने के लिए, इलस्ट्रेट करने के लिए हम क्या यूज करेंगे, यही कांग्रेस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने जिस तरह से कांग्रेस को रीऑर्गेनाइज किया था एंड व्हाट वर द न्यू डेंजर्स दैट द कांग्रेस एक्सपोज्ड इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, दिस इज व्हाट वी नीड टू. हो जाएगा. ऑलराइट, so we have looked at the merger of the non-cooperation movement, the Khilafat movement, and now we'll talk about the programs of the non-cooperation. Programs of the non. So what were the methods used by the nationalists to oppose British rule? क्या देखने के लिए मिलेगा हमको यहाँ पर? स्वदेशी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. ठीक है, एंड स्वदेशी के लिए क्या इंपॉर्टेंट होगा? बॉयकॉट. राइट, तो स्वदेशी एंड बॉयकॉट. राइट डाउन, स्वदेशी एंड बॉयकॉट. देखो, English goods were boycotted. English goods were boycotted. Along with burning of British cloth and peaceful picketing of shops selling foreign goods. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट सब पॉइंट स्वदेशी एंड बॉयकॉट में क्या लिखो? British institutions such as schools, colleges, services and law courts were boycotted. Many Indians responded to the call of non-cooperation and resigned from government service. Example, Subhash Chandra Bose, who had recently been selected for the Indian Civil Service. Example, Subhash Chandra Bose, government service. Subhash Chandra Bose. Further, many prominent lawyers resigned from the bar, including C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru, and Jawaharlal Nehru. Indian recipients of British honors and awards. Renounced them in large numbers. renounced them in large numbers. Honors and rewards renounced them in large numbers. कई सारे टाइटल्स, मेडल्स, अवार्ड्स अंग्रेजों ने दिए थे. अवार्ड वापसी, टाइटल वापसी का कार्यक्रम. राइट. नेक्स्ट सब पॉइंट. Many nationalist schools and educational institutions. Many nationalist schools and educational institutions were set up under nationalist leadership. Under nationalist leadership. Including the Bengal National College at Calcutta with Subhash Chandra Bose as principal. Subhash Chandra Bose as principal. Kashi Vidyapeeth at Banaras. With Lala Lajpat Rai. Bihar Vidyapeeth at Patna under Acharya Narendra Dev. And Jamia Millia. कहाँ पर? नॉट दिल्ली, एट अलीगढ़. अलीगढ़ में था, आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस ट्रांसफर किया. एट अलीगढ़ अंडर डॉक्टर जाकिर हुसैन. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट लिखो. नेक्स्ट मेन पॉइंट. पहला तो ये प्रोग्राम हो गया, स्वदेशी एंड बॉयकॉट. नेक्स्ट सब पॉइंट एक और लिखो. फर्दर Swadeshi was promoted to the Khadi and Charkha programs. Local Congress committees took upon the responsibility of promoting them. And encouraging ordinary Indians to produce a minimum amount of khadi daily. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट मेन पॉइंट लिखो. Another important program of the non-cooperation movement was voting arrest to fill up British jails. Another important program of the movement was courting arrest to fill up British jails, thus pressurizing the British financially, financially as well as administratively, well as administratively. How? By overburdening the legal machinery as well as the law and order machine. ठीक है? Third लिखो, next main point. Further, workers organized strikes, in many industrial centers, and refused to use British yarn for manufacturing textiles. क्या मांग थी इनकी? इंडियन स्पन खादी दो, नहीं तो प्रोडक्शन नहीं। ठीक है, फाइनली लिखो, दी तिलक स्वराज फंड was set up to raise funds for organizing nationalist activity. Within 3 months, it was oversubscribed. Now, its objective was to raise a total of 50 lakh rupees, but within 3 months, as much as 1 crore rupees have been raised. Obviously, the largest contributors were the big industrialists and bankers, people such as G.D. Birla or Purushottam Das Thakur Das. They had donated to this fund quite liberally, quite generously. However, more surprising was to see the popular support for this fund. Mahatma Gandhi was addressing a meeting and mass rally tha. G.D. Birla was also present over there. He had recently donated several lakhs of rupees to the Tilak Swaraj Fund. So Gandhi ji ने उनको facilitate करने का decision, right? He was brought forward, but at this meeting, a very poor old woman came to Mahatma Gandhi. कान से जो बालियां थी वो तक निकाल के उनको, तो Mahatma Gandhi was so moved by this that what he said that Birla साहब से ज़्यादा generous तो ये lady है, and this only goes to show the level of popular energy and response that people had to Mahatma Gandhi's appeal, as well as the level of mass discontent that must have been there to bring about such a selfless acts of patriotic activity, action. So Tilak Swaraj Fund was oversubscribed. ठीक है, मेजर प्रोग्राम्स ये थे नॉन कोऑपरेटिव. नेक्स्ट, salient features of the non-cooperation. Salient features of the non-cooperation. First of all, it was the first true all India mass movement. You know, it was the first all India mass movement in the true sense. It was the first true all India mass movement. Why are we saying this? Because it witnessed participation from every section, region, and religious community of the country. And secondly, because it witnessed participation at a large scale both from the urban as well as the rural masses. Okay? It witnessed participation from every section, region and region, including peasants, workers, professionals, students, women, industrialists, government officials, etc., as well as Hindus and Muslims across the country. Peasants, workers, professionals, students, men, industrialists, along with both men as well as both Hindus as well as Muslims. दूसरा reason that it witnessed great energy and enthusiasm in both cities as well as villages. But two, Gandhi emerged as the undisputed leader of the national movement with the non-cooperation movement. He was able to demonstrate the success of his satyagraha strategy and effectively removed the fear of mass repression from the minds of ordinary Indians. Full stop. He would remain in this leadership position till the attainment of independence. Three, attainment of independence. Mahatma Gandhi was able to link the political activity of the masses with their socio-economic and cultural issues. Thus, making the national movement more meaningful for the masses. This was done through programs such as, सब पॉइंट्स करके लिखो, आदि program, the anti untouchability program, the village reconstruction program, the anti liquor program, the सर्वधर्म प्रार्थना सभाज, the Hindu Muslim unity program, etc. ठीक है, so this means the masses could perform their national service not only through one route, ठीक है, that is the route of direct political agitation and action against the British rule, but by participating in any or all of these programs, ठीक है. And what was the result? That this strategy made participation in the national movement very accessible to the ordinary masses, because these were practical methods through which they could reinvigorate their own lives, strengthen their own situation, improve their own situation, and simultaneously serve the national interest. Okay? Therefore, this was able to draw a large amount of support from the common masses at a scale that was not visible ever before in the earlier movement. Write down. Same point में ही. With this strategy, Mahatma Gandhi provided practical and accessible means, practical and accessible means for the masses, for the masses to perform nationalist service, perform nationalist service. Okay, to perform nationalist service. The result was unprecedented levels of mass participation, was unprecedented levels of mass participation. Right. Point number 4. For the first time, ordinary women entered nationalist politics, on a mass scale, mass scale. This definitely contributed to the liberation of women, the liberation of women. How did Mahatma Gandhi achieve this? By linking their private sphere with the public sphere in a way which it would not be opposed by the male population. Okay? So, when we are talking about the private sphere of women in the traditional society, what are we talking about? The household. Okay? So, women were supposed to remain confined within the household, but at the same time they were supposed to act as the axis upon which the entire household revolved, including childbearing and child rearing, which involved not only the nutritional aspects of caretaking but also value education as well as moral education. Taking care of the spiritual well-being of the entire family. True. Leading the charge towards religious worship and other activities. And by enforcing a strict code of domestic conduct, which was informed by their religious values, okay? Including prohibition of intoxication. and promoting values that would reduce conflict in the external sphere. These were the expected roles that Indian women were expected to perform. This was part of their private or domestic sphere. Mahatma Gandhi brought an overlap between the public sphere and private sphere by involving women on a large scale in programs such as Khadi and Charkha, which the women were already performing, by involving them in anti-liquor programs, by involving them in anti-untouchability and Hindu Muslim unity programs which appeal to their spiritual sensibilities, as well as by bringing women out to attend Sarvadharma Prarthana Sabhas in large numbers. ठीक है, क्या लिखा है अभी आपने? Liberation of women. Full stop. This was achieved by the linking of the private and public spheres for women by Gandhi through the Adi and Charkha programs, anti-liquor program, anti-untouchability and Hindu-Muslim unity program, and Sarvadharma Prarthana Sabhas. Sarvadharma Prarthana Sabhas. ठीक है, next main point लिखो. So women participation was another important feature. Finally, biggest strength of the movement was the unprecedented levels of Hindu-Muslim unity, which had not been at such a high level ever since the revolt of 1857. Write down. Hindu-Muslim unity emerged as the most prominent feature of the non-cooperation movement. They participated in rallies, protests and boycotts together. such unity had not been witnessed had not been witnessed since the revolt of 1857. The revolt of But what was this unity permanent or temporary? Next point. However, this unity did not last. Did not last. With the first breach occurring during the Mopla riots. During the Mopla riots of 1920. The riots of okay. These are the prominent features of the non-cooperation. Was the first all India mass movement in the true sense had participation. Every section, region and religious community and being popular in urban as well as rural setting. It established Gandhiji as the undisputed leader of the national movement from this period till the very end. Mahatma Gandhi succeeded because he was able to link the political activity of the masses with their socio-economic and cultural issues, thus providing them practical and accessible means to give national service through his innovative programs. He was able to draw out ordinary women in large numbers, thus liberating them in the practical by bringing together an overlap of their private as well as public sphere, once again through his innovative programs. And the greatest strength of the movement was Hindu-Muslim unity be temporary in nature. These are the features of the movement. Next, we have to talk about the withdrawal of the non-cooperation. Give me a couple of minutes, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Abhiram, am I still audible? Alright, thank you. Now, moving on to the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement. Now, the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement was precipitated by the Chauri Chaura incident, which occurred at Gorakhpur on the 5th of February 2. क्या था ये चौरी चौरा इंसिडेंट? हाँ, an angry mob of protesters surrounded a police station at Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur, trapping 22 policemen inside and burning the station with them dead alive. Okay? With this, the mood of the movement changed suddenly. Gandhi को क्या लगा? Now the British will have an opportunity to crack down on the nationalists and suppress the movement violently. And for this, the nationalists would not have any moral response. Secondly, he was concerned that this cycle of violence, this violent incident is going to result in an unending cycle of violence. And given the tense situation following the Mukta riots, the masses may react unpredictably. So ऐसा नहीं है that they would simply target only the British, but the internal divisions of the national movement may be exploited by the opposers of the nationalists in order to induce a breakdown of national unity. Therefore, in a meeting of the Congress Working Committee at Bardoli on the 12th of February 1922, Mahatma Gandhi took the decision to unilaterally withdraw the movement. While none of the other members of the working committee were in favor of withdrawing the movement, Mahatma Gandhi's opinion carried great degree of weight, and all of them agreed with the Bardoli resolution. It called for stopping all activities leading to law breaking, while at the same time continuing the boycott of upcoming elections for the legislature. Instead, the Congress resolved to begin a program of constructive work in the villages, which Mahatma Gandhi presented as the new strategy followed in the passive stage of the national movement. Okay? Other leaders such as Subhash Chandra Bose, Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das, etc., they were absolutely miffed by Mahatma Gandhi's decision to suddenly withdraw the movement. They felt that there was great degree of momentum, and if the struggle could be sustained even for a few months more, the British would be forced to come onto the negotiating table. But because Mahatma Gandhi was resolute against the continuation of the movement, they had to finally give in. However, this threatened the unity of the Congress itself, as would become clear in the coming months. Right, the Swaraj's controversy would take place. ये तो हो गया withdrawal of the non-cooperation. Now, there is a historical debate regarding it. The one hand are the Marxist history. ठीक है, ये क्या बोलते हैं that चौरी चौरा incident was simply an excuse used by Mahatma Gandhi to withdraw the movement, and he had already been looking for an excuse to do so. The Marxists accuse him of being a sympathizer of the middle classes and zamindars rather than the working classes and peasants. They say that zamindars and industrialists were suffering directly as a result of the non-cooperation movement, and while others were also suffering, they were suffering the most. Industrialists were leaking profits since homespun khadi or charkha khadi was not being produced in sufficient amounts to replace the British machine spun cotton yarn, and therefore because of shortage of raw materials and the high cost of procurement of charkha khadi, they were leaking profits. They wanted an end to the movement. Zamindars, on the other hand, were pressurized by the peasants who had in the recent months become quite radical. While Mahatma Gandhi had given the call for a no revenue campaign, that Indians should not pay revenue to the British, including land revenue, he had not given a call for a no rent campaign by the peasants against the zamindars. He wanted to maintain the unity between zamindars and peasants. But the peasants of Awadh organized themselves into the Eka movement under Madari Pasi and began a radical no rent campaign against the local zamindars were also coming under increasing pressure. And it was these causes which prompted Mahatma Gandhi to suddenly withdraw the non-cooperation and the of the Chauri Chaura. Clear? On the other hand, nationalist historians led by Bipin Chandra have defended Mahatma Gandhi's decision to draw the movement. First of all, he has said that violence was against the idea of Gandhian Satyagraha, and it would have been immoral for Mahatma Gandhi to continue the movement. Therefore, he was ideologically compelled to withdraw it. Secondly, he points out that cracks within the national movement had started appearing, especially in the context of Hindu-Muslim relations. The Mopla riots had already devastated the Malabar region, and given the violent mood of the masses, this violence may have taken an unpredictable turn, putting the national movement permanently out of reach of the leadership. The leadership would not have been able to bring back bring the movement back under control. Thirdly, Mahatma Gandhi was also concerned that the British would soon respond brutally to the movement using the excuse of Chauri Chaura. And finally, that withdrawing the movement at this stage was a strategic decision by Mahatma Gandhi. It was in keeping with his own Gandhian strategy of mass struggle. That has been described as the SPS TCP method. The struggle truce struggle and pressurize, compromise, pressurize. Mahatma Gandhi believed that the masses had a finite ability to agitate. ठीक है, मास एनर्जी होता है वो एक फाइनाइट क्वांटिटी में होता है, इनफाइनाइट नहीं. When the mass energy is the highest, the leader should launch an active phase of struggle in order to pressurize the opposition, that is the British in this case. However, as the masses start becoming tired, they start showing of fatigue, it is the responsibility of the leader to call for a truce, to suspend the active stage of the struggle and bring the government onto the negotiating table to reach a compromise, to partially fulfill some of the important objectives of the nationalists. And in this period, the nationalist leadership should use the time to prepare the masses once again for active struggle. Once they are ready to do so, another active phase of struggle will be launched in order to pressurize the government. Okay? And it is in this context that we must appreciate that the masses had started showing the signs of fatigue. Indian industrial production was down. The profits that they were making were turning into losses. Worker strikes were hurting the workers as well as the industrialists, whereas the program of mass arrests as well as no non-cooperation with the British revenue officials was harming Indian agriculture, with agricultural production also plummeting. All these things combined to create a shortage of consumer goods as well as agricultural products, leading to inflation, which the masses, both the peasants and the workers, were not in a position to overcome. Therefore, in the months preceding the withdrawal of the movement, the participation and enthusiasm of the masses had started to decline. Okay? Further, the unity had also started showing signs of breaking down, especially in the context of the Mopla riots. And therefore, Mahatma Gandhi was justified in withdrawing the movement. ठीक है? What was the outcome of the withdrawal of the movement? Fact of the withdrawal of the movement. First of all, it caused division within the Congress, resulting in the Rajist controversy. तो एक प्रो गांधी कैंप, एक एंटी गांधी कैंप इमर्ज हो गया, जिस राजिस्ट वांटेड टू परस्यू an independent policy in the static or dormant phase of the movement. They did not want to continue boycotting the elections. They wanted to participate and expose the hypocrisy of the Montfort reforms to end or mend the councils from within. This created the threat of another Surat-like split within the. Secondly, Hindu-Muslim unity received a major blow. Muslims felt that the Hindus and the Congress and Gandhi had betrayed them, बीच मजार में छोड़ दिया था. Right? Unity displayed within cooperation could never be revived. Thirdly, it gave an opportunity for the British to relieve the pressure that they had been feeling. It relieved the nationalist pressure on the British. And as soon as the movement was withdrawn, सबसे पहले इन्होंने क्या किया? महात्मा गांधी को अरेस्ट कर लिया. And they also started moving to suppress other leaders, to arrest other leaders. They wanted to permanently derail the national movement and exploit the re-emerging dispute between the Hindus and Muslims. It would further prompt another long phase of British inaction. So, long-standing demand for Swaraj could continue to be ignored without the British concrete steps to address it, to bring in responsible government. What they did instead was to institute the Simon Commission in 1927 in order to review the working of the 1919 Act. But this was not due to direct nationalist pressure. Rather, it was due to a constitutional requirement that was built into the Montfort reform. उसमें एक requirement था कि 10 साल के बाद एक statutory commission को ब्रिटिश को establish करना पड़ेगा in order to review the working of the 1919 Act and suggest any reforms. They did this not in response to any nationalist pressure, but because of their own requirements, own constitutional requirements. And this is, or the lack of nationalist pressure is also reflected in the composition of the Simon Commission. क्या यहाँ पे किसी भी इंडियन लीडर को जगह दी गई थी? नहीं. No Indian leader, politician or jurist was given a position, given a commission within this Simon Commission. It was an all-white commission. The British felt secure that they could simply ignore the national aspirations of India. So it has slowed down the national movement. This was the withdrawal of the outcome of the withdrawal of the non-cooperation. Clear है इतना? तो यहाँ से इसको लिख लेते हैं. Give the heading. Withdrawal of the non-cooperation. Following the Chauri Chaura incident, on the 5th of February 1922, the mood of the nation suddenly shifted. Up. Next point. Mahatma Gandhi decided to unilaterally withdraw the non-cooperation movement for the NCM, and the CWC, Congress Working Committee, adopted the Bardoli resolution on the 12th of February to A and B to the Bardoli resolution on the 12th of February 1922 to A and B. A, stop all activity leading to law breaking, and launch a constructive program in the villages. Stop all activity leading to law breaking and launch a constructive program in the villages. And B, continue the boycott of elections and legislative bodies. अब heading दो, interpretation of the withdrawal. Write down. Marxist scholars have alleged that Mahatma Gandhi withdrew the movement to protect zamindars and industrialists. The point. The peasants of Awadh had started a radical no rent campaign against the zamindars. No rent campaign against the zamindars. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to contain it. Gandhi wanted to contain it. Next sub point. Industrialists were incurring losses due to the boycott of British yarn. And the low supply and high prices of Indian khadi. Full stop. Next main point. In other words, Mahatma Gandhi was more interested in derailing the working class movement in order to protect the upper class interests, even if it meant sacrificing the national objective or the national interest, even if it meant sacrificing the national interest. Next main point likho. On the other hand, nationalist historians have interpreted the withdrawal in a different light. Bipin Chandra points out that violence was against the strategy of Gandhian Satyagraha. And Mahatma Gandhi felt ideologically compelled to withdraw the movement after the Chauri Chaura incident. The point. He was concerned that the British would use this incident to violently suppress the movement. Violently suppress the movement. Next point. Next point. Given the deteriorating national consensus, comma, the cycle of violence may take an unpredictable turn. Resulting in massive communal riots. Take an unpredictable turn, resulting in massive communal riots. Lastly, next appointee. Lastly, withdrawing the movement was in line with the Gandhian strategy of mass struggle, comma, namely the STS-PCP method. STS-P method. We need to expand upon this. ये कर लेंगे, हो जाएगा. नेक्स्ट मेन पॉइंट लिखो. There is much truth in this interpretation. Of the point. The masses had started showing the signs of fatigue due to economic pressure caused by low industrial production, comma, declining profits, comma, worker strikes, comma, disruption of agriculture, shortages, and inflation. Further, the Mopla riots had demonstrated that national unity was on the verge of breakdown was on the verge of breakdown, and there was there was a there was a strong undercurrent of communalism of communalism. ठीक है, next subheading दो, impact of the withdrawal. Impact of the withdrawal. Write down. Several top Congress leaders were unhappy with the sudden withdrawal of the NCM on cooperation of the NCM. So stop. This finally manifested in the form of the Swarajist controversy, which threatened to split the Congress, once again. Up. Next, number 2. Muslims felt betrayed and blamed Mahatma Gandhi and the Congress as a result. Hindu-Muslim unity broke down. Hindu-Muslim unity broke down completely. And several communal riots occurred during the 1920s. Next, number 3. The nationalist pressure on the British was relieved. Released, and the British began boldly suppressing nationalism. As demonstrated by Mahatma Gandhi's arrest and 6-year imprisonment sentence. Full stop. ठीक है, so दिस वाज द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ द विड्रॉल ऑफ द नॉन। क्लियर है यहाँ तक? समझ में आया है? After this we will be talking about the Swaraj controversy, Simon Commission to report etc. up to the Purn Swaraj resolution. This we are going to address in tomorrow's class. यहाँ तक का clear है ना? चलिए, shall I end this lecture now? Viram? All right. Okay then. Thank you for your time, guys. कल मिलते हैं.